first met Yossi 30 years ago in the Wexner Graduate Fellowship and have been blessed to be inspired by him and his vision over the years here in our Boston community and after he made Aliyah. And it's really a great gift to have him here this Shabbat and to welcome him. So, bevakasha.
Shabbat Shalom. And the people who weren't here last night, you won't get this, but Shana Tova. I know, there are people going, you'll find out later. It's been such a wonderful embrace to be here with you. So many people, I'm getting hugs and bike riders and former interns and dear friends, rabbis, colleagues, young Judeans. Like and you mentioned Dick Wissaker, Zichrono Livracha. If Doug is here for the dedication, please send him loud. It's just amazing. Rav Kook had this wonderful way of looking at the secular kibbutznikim who would have ham and cheese in Yom Kippur as part of the redemption. Listening to the Torah portion, and you want to celebrate Israel's 75th, and it's like, oh God. And then I remembered the main activity, this year may be different, but the main activity every Yom HaAtzmaut is Reach Nichoach L'Adonai. Everyone is having, on the manga. Everyone is doing barbecues. That is, I don't know if it was but you're in Jerusalem and it's just a big cloud of, gun soccer, everybody sort of, that's the thing. You get invited to barbecues, religious, secular, whatever. And so it's just sort of a funny sensory image of reading this ridiculous parsha and going, why? And actually, Terry, when we were speaking, it's like, okay, great. Like coming back to Boston and all that. And then what's the parsha? And Rabbi Perkins, Ling Perkins, you kind of summed up some of the complexity in the ambivalence. So last night I explained that the gematria for 75 is Lama. Why? We're talking about Israel. But why were we inflicted with this Torah portion? And I'll tell you why. Vayifen vayered Moshe min hahar ushtei luchot ha'edut beyado, right? And Moses came down the mountain bearing the 2 tablets. Vayihi kasher karav el hamachaneh, and he gets close to the camp. Vayar et ha'egel u'mecholdot, vayichar af Moshe vayishlach miyado et haluchot vayishaber otan. When he gets close to the encampment and he sees the golden calf, and he gets angry. He sent the commandments from his hands and broke them. Tachat hahar. Vayomam Moshe el Aharon. Moses to Aaron, Ma asa lecha ha'am hazeh. What did this nation do to you? My trusted high priest brother, the one who was my mouthpiece from God to Pharaoh. Ki hiveta alav chet gdola, because you brought upon this is our original sin as a people. Vayomar Haron, don't be mad. Al yicharaf. You know that this is like a terrible group of people that we're part of, right? And they said to me, make me an Elohim. And I said, okay, give me your gold. Vayitnu, and they gave me the gold, and I sent the gold into the fire. And this golden calf came out. Not my fault. Vayiguf Adonai et ha'am, and the Lord sent a plague upon the people. al asher asu et ha'egel, for what they did with the calf. Asher asa Aharon, that Aaron made. All of Vayikra is to restore the role of holiness, the role of the priest, the role of the high priest. It's a counter reaction to this violation at Sinai, this moment of revelation, and we blow it. All those animals we read about, right? I think about the methane, right? The meat industry and the dairy industry and all of that kind of stuff, right? Why is it a sweet smell for God? Because it was the egel. The egel was the chet. It was a figure of an animal. So the priests burn the animal. As a counter reaction. That's why we're inflicted this Yom HaAtzmaut Shabbat with Vayikra. In the Talmud, it says that the happiest days on the streets of Jerusalem are Tu B'Av, the love festival, and Yom Kippur. Now, if anybody's been on the streets of Jerusalem on Yom Kippur, that is totally true. There's no cars. The kids rule. Skateboards on the bikes, on this, on everything. After Kol Nidre, we all head out. That day, all these people, thousands of people from Tel Aviv get on the train with their bikes. Secular people. And on Yom Kippur, they go downhill most of the way from Jerusalem to Tel Aviv, as they're also day of holiness. So Tu B'Av is out there, but it's not particular to the streets of Jerusalem. So the question is, what's the other happy day on the streets of Jerusalem? And for me, it's Shavuot. Shavuot, particularly in, I'm in a bubble of Bach, right? German colony, you know the area. And all the congregations have open learning. There's one central master calendar, Hebrew, English, and you go all night from study place to study place with all sorts of people. You meet your friends on the street. When I was a little younger, we used to then go to the kotel, and I walk barefoot. Shalosh regalim, I actually go barefoot to kind of feel the. It's such a happy occasion. It's just feeling the, yeah, what a privilege to live in Jerusalem in this age. All these amazing people with all the learning. So as I get older, my sense of focus is getting worse. Last Shavuot, in shul, I forget which one, right? And I'm thinking about what I'm always thinking about. I'm thinking about climate, right? And they're teaching whatever they're teaching, and the whole thing, and the breed, Esar Dibrot, and all that. And I'm struck by this bolt. I've several times been on the Israeli negotiating team at the UN Climate Conference. Maybe we'll do more of that tonight. We'll stay on the Torah. We'll stay on the Torah stuff. And there's the Israeli Foreign Ministry saw, COP27, the next one that was going to be in November at that point, after Shavuot, was going to be at Sharm el-Sheikh. So we have an opportunity strategically with Arab countries, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Right? Okay, but what I realized in that moment at 2 or 3 in the morning is I'm not really listening to the sermon and thinking about the planet, people, and a role in it. Who's to blame? And I realized, oh my God, we have a spiritual opportunity, a historic spiritual opportunity. The whole world is gathering near Sinai. this isn't COP 27 at Sharm el Sheikh. This has to be the climate covenant conference. This is a chance for a leverage play, talking about influence, right, and mission for the Jewish people to try to do something significant at that moment in time. Some of you who are bike riders, some of you who are young Judeans, you know my own story, where when we made Aliyah from Boston to Kibbutz Keturah in the summer, third most extreme desert in the world, it was like solar power. It's just obvious. And the vision that I and my partners had was, let's get this to be the first region in the world to be 100% powered by the sun, which of course everyone said is not possible, not technologically feasible, not financially viable, never been done before. But going back to last night, the Im Tirtzu, I come from an Aniva Tanishan Ta'olam youth movement. And the idea was, if we can do it, then it would be an example for Israel, and Israel could be an example for the world, right? He's saying, Or Chadash, Al Tzion Ta'ir. Good warm-up, unplanned. The short version of the story is the first region in the world to be 100% solar power during the day is Red Sea to Dead Sea. And we did it by 2020. And in a couple of years, we'll be the first region night and day, a full generation ahead of the UN. So the audacity of the world leaders to gather right down the Red Sea in proximity, in exact proximity to what we had done, and to have a go slow approach where we've already proven you can get to 100%, a generation ahead of their go slow approach, is a rebuke by the Jewish people and the Jewish state for what was about to unfold. So the way the world works is like people come for Shabbat dinner, you're all invited, and when you're in Jerusalem. And around that time, we had people over for Shabbat dinner. On the way out, he says, I'm an editor at Newsweek. Do you want to write a piece about anything on climate? I'm like, yeah. There's this conference happening, and we just had Shavua, and so I write this article called the 10+1 Climate Commandments. Well, actually, he commissions it, and then he says, look, there's a problem. Who are you to write 10 commandments? And I agree. I mean, of course I agree. So we gather some groups of people. Interfaith Center for Sustainable Development, great, based in Jerusalem, and the Elijah Interfaith Institute, also with these great networks of dolim. I'm just the catalyst. And we basically say, okay, I think we're going to do this. And it's very interesting. The Jews and the Christians didn't want to call it commandments, but the Sikhs and the Hindus and everybody else are like, yeah, let's do it, right? And I was like, we got to smash these commandments when we get out, when we get to the mountain. And the Jews and the Christians are like, no, you can't do that. And everybody else is like, yeah, let's do it. It's sort of this very interesting tension. By the way, in the end, the official program, it was called the 10 Climate Principles. So there was a content challenge, and then there was a logistical challenge. So we decided to go in August as a trial run. Let's just kind of get a sense of it, right? Laughing because it's pretty hot in Sinai, right? And we go in August, we realize, oh my God, we're going to need it's basically a police state. A lot of checkpoints, we're going to need buy-in. We're going to have to figure this out. There's no bathrooms on Har Sinai. There's all these things. Do we need to bring a medic, et cetera? And it's like, how are we going to get to the Secretary General of the UN to endorse it? And because otherwise the military will stop us. You can't just kind of come in with all these people in their religious costumes or, it was like, ugh. No one believes me, which is why I sent to Terry this video. It's after our practice climb and everything. And my partners are like, this isn't going to work, so let's just give it up. So what is a good Jew at the foot of Mount Sinai? God, send me a son. Should we do this? 4 seconds go by. 50 years, not a raindrop at Mount Sinai in August. Thunder! You can put it on the whatever WhatsApp group afterwards. August. And it starts pouring. The local people are like, what's going on? And the whole thing, it's like, it's because of you. Who are you? Like, it's this craziness. And I say to my partners, guys, come on. We have to do this. We just have to do this. You'll send the video around. All right. So you can't make this stuff up. So then really the hard work of the logistics and the content comes up. And it's a very humbling process, both of these things. And it was 2 weeks before COP27, and we still didn't have the permission of the Egyptian authorities, and we weren't going to get it. Whole other backstory. The content was advancing. So I want to say to you, you have to come up with 10 or some climate principles or climate commandments. You have an EV charge station. You have a solar field. You have the bottle. You see that? Already 85 bottles have been displaced with the water. Right? You who recycle. What would be some of your climate commandments? Compost? Right? Yeah. Plant-based diet, right? And remember, you can have all the world leaders gathering nearby. You could speak to them. What would you say? What are those commandments say of us? Desalinate water, right? No new drilling. Stop fracking. Don't waste. Solar and wind. Yeah. It was an interesting process. No, thank you. Yes. I can't go wrong with any of those. There's a lot of tension between very practical things, which was what most of you said, and then principles. What's the role of religion in that? And again, how do you get everybody around the same vision? So I'll give you a couple highlights of mine, mindful of the time. I'll give you some of all the religious processes and then I'll tell you what happened. So one is sort of like we're addicted to fossil fuels, so acknowledge a higher power in a sense, right? Like I wrote Vote Climate because I forget what was happening then. I was trying to look at the original and see which ones would actually can be leveraged and used and reinterpreted. And the do not murder stood very much front and center for me because of the loss of lives that are increasing. Cyclones, monsoons, forest fires. I work in Africa, biblical level droughts. I mean, things that we're insulated from, here. When I asked the, what I call the Greta Girls, the Israeli branch of the Strike for Fridays, they said, do not steal. Climate change is robbing our future, and we're also robbing nature of her ability to regenerate. So on the practice run, it's 3 in the morning. I'm a little older and not as in shape as I used to be. Going up the mountain, it's dark. You do it at night, right? So it's not too hot. And they're like kids running back and forth, kind of like playing. And there are these 2 kids speaking Hebrew. Oh, cool, great. So at a certain point, I like grab one of them. Hey, where are you from? Washington, D.C. It's like, really? Where in Washington? Oh, Capitol Hill. Great. Uh, like, who are your parents? I was hoping maybe, an advisor to Biden, you never know. I just, because, oh, my dad writes books. I was like, wait, is your dad Avi Shorsh? And they go, yeah, he's coming up the mountain. He'll be here in 20 minutes or so. So at the top of the mountain at sunrise, my friend Avi comes in, and his latest book is called Thou Shalt Innovate. So that made my top 10, and that's good for the Israel stuff we can talk about more tonight. My friend, Rabbi Jenny Rosen, also colleague, she heads Dayenu, and where's Mike? So Mike is putting together a Dayenu circle, activist circle on climate. There's 200 of them already in the country, so we encourage you to join. She wrote Dayenu, oh, you need not covet, was her contribution. We've had enough. We have the science, the technology. We need to build a world in which all people can have enough. We just need to achieve the political will. So very, very interesting. The +1 for me is 10 + 1 is don't give up hope or the fight. To me, it's about that. The religious leaders, here's what happened. Like, I couldn't be responsible for getting like 50 religious leaders arrested by the military police in Egypt. So we pivoted and they flew, we did carbon offsets to London, and they went to Parliament Hill, the highest point there. And beautiful, multi-faith ceremony. We have videos of it. We have all the stuff, and we have the materials. And these 10 spiritual principles, they're different. They're like theological. Right? Creation is not our position. It's not our possession. But we recognize human responsibility to love and protect nature. We must treat life with reverence, care for each other, the planet. And there's our own sources, and it's just this beautiful thing how across so many different faith communities, the common ground for what the Pope calls our common home, right? And it's just beautiful. Now it's about getting these messages out. And I can also send links so you guys can actually see it. So now this group is calling for Earth Day, which there's Shalosh Regalim of the Sviva, right? Parshat Noach, yeah? For the environment. So Noach is a good one. The other is Earth Day. We should kind of take it. We're asking religious faith communities to do things on Earth Day related to the principles and connect you. And the third is also World Environment Day. It was a very deep and meaningful process. And I was like, I'm not going to be representing Israel at Sharm el-Sheikh without going up the mountain and smashing some tablets. So with some friends and Chazon, we did do that. We had green tablets, said what we said, we videoed, we smashed what we smashed, really as a rebuke, right? As a rebuke to what was happening, down in Sinai. And indeed, Sharm el-Sheikh disappointed. Who's the baby? Who's here? Yeah, so at her bat mitzvah, we need to be able to have cut world emissions by half, if there's any real hope. So, and to me, the fossil fuel companies are essentially the idol today. This is the ego. This is what is falsely being worshipped, the short-term profits. During COVID, that's where all the windfall profits are, in the trillions of dollars and everything. Wow. I see the suffering worldwide because of climate, and they need to be smashed. So many of you have said hello and connections. But Elisa's husband came up and said, "Hi, I'm David Ezekiel." It's like, Ezekiel, did you know? And he said, "Show me." So he said, "Did you know the only mention of electricity in the entire Tanakh, Vayikra, v'hineh ruach se'ara ba'a." So you already have the wind, right? And here comes a big windstorm, Minat Safan, Anan gadol v'esh, a big cloud and fire. This is the vision of Ezekiel. Umitocha ein hachashma, of the electricity. Ezekiel, which, by the way, is the Haftorah for Matan Torah at Shavuot. Rashi and the Rambam they go, what is this chashmal? What is chashmal? It's just this wild vision that comes out of nowhere, nothing coming close to it. What is chashmal? And Rashi and Rambam and all the commentators are very clear what chashmal is. Chashmal is divine beings. Chashmal are angels. Interesting. Well, there's chashmal and there's chashmal. Unholy electricity is what's killing us. It's what's killing the cattle in Africa. It's what's all this devastation. Not holy. What you got in front here, that's holy chashmal, right? Chashmal has to be holy. It has to be able to express godliness. Vayihi or, right? The first thing. Vayihi or. I think you're already on your way. You're already on your way, as an example. Be nice by next Shemitah if every congregation in the world would follow your example. Maybe don't wait that long even, in terms of putting that challenge, that theological challenge, on the table. But we already have the solution to climate. And okay, tonight we'll talk about policies and climate tech and all of that. But today we could reduce by 1/7 the carbon footprint of the entire world if we took from the Aseret HaDibrot, keep Shabbat. Have a day of rest. Have a non-emissions day. Those of you who need to drive, fine, but just plug it in, right? Right here. Like, it doesn't even have to be on the same day. The Muslims can do Friday, the Christians can do it, right? But every Shabbat in Israel, the emissions go down 30%. And look what happened during COVID. We also saw a worldwide drop for 1 year. Came roaring back. But we, the Jewish people, do have some innovations from Sinai. And so I think it's another challenge in all of your interfaith work and alliances. And on Earth Day, is how do you get to at least 1 day a week with zero emissions, kind of a next stop along the way. Before I was doing this, I was a Jewish educator, worked with Judy and other people. And I had a great board, and they challenged me at one point to do a mission statement, which I thought was for the nonprofit. And I came back with something hokey, be the leading online Jewish. And they're like, no, you doofus. Did we said doofus before from the Bima? Yes. What's the mission? The Jewish people. Oh. After a very nice process, I came back with this. It only works for me, so it's okay if you don't buy into it. purpose of the Jewish people is to be an ongoing distinctive catalyst for the advancement and evolution of morality and civilization. And that gives me strength. Nobody else knows. I build one solar field in the pathway of the Israelites in the Arava. We encamped 7 kilometers from the first solar field. And I say to the Jewish people, the purpose of the Jewish people is to be a renewable light unto the nations. And everybody gets it. Shabbat Shalom, Shana Tova.